What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Web3 rundown. I'm Joe. You guys know Brian. We have a lot of news for you today because markets are flying. Brian, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Markets look good. We got some good news across the entire crypto sector, and things are popping off, like you said.
Yeah, I can't believe my eyes. Just like a week ago, I felt like we were just scratching like 20s on Fear and Greed Index, and now we're at 71. Man, things change so quickly. I hate to say this, but Ethereum is crushing up 50%. Where's my biggest Solana? Not crushing as hard though. What's your thoughts on the overall markets? What's causing this move, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into it a little bit, but big news out there between with the tariff news. We've talked about this a lot on the rundowns with our private community, every podcast that we talk about any sort of de-escalation, if that's in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, if that's with the trade deficit or the tariffs, we were going to see a pump in the markets, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And it's not just Bitcoin. Actually, I should even say it's not just Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks great at what 104,000 you showed, but some of the biggest winners are meme coins, AI coins, coins that we absolutely love. We've been preaching that once we start to see bullish signals, once we start to move the right way, some of those meme coins are going to move violently upward. And that's exactly what we've seen.
Yeah, there's been some huge candles, which we'll get into. We'll jump into those meme stuff in a second, but let's go over exactly what you just mentioned. The thing that really moved the markets for us here was, oops, did I share the right screen? Nope, I'm sharing some weird stuff. You think I would get this in control by now, but here, yeah, tariffs. Can you break this down for me, Brent? Did we win this tariff war? Everyone's saying one thing or the other, but one thing's for sure is that we reached a deal and stocks like it, crypto likes it. So overall, this tariff news, can we put it behind us, Brian?
It's a great first step. There's a lot of deals to still be made. It sounds like the EU is causing a little bit of issue, but the big one that everyone's been talking about's been China. And that was a huge deal. The White House came out, said the China deal's done. Some very interesting parameters around the tariffs, and of course, not just the crypto market, the stock market, everything reacted really positively.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of this, or the biggest hanging fruit, the biggest fruit was China, right? So we cannot, and who knew they came to the table so quickly, and so that's why things are up because that was our biggest hurdle to get through, and alongside of that macro news on tariffs, and we'll still watch how that plays out. Is that do we have a lot of bullish news overall, generally on crypto overall? New Hampshire, we talked about them being approving the first Bitcoin reserve with 5% of state funds possibly to be invested into Bitcoin, which is huge. My wife went to New Hampshire. She went to school in New Hampshire. So, I can move back there. It's a decent place to live. Arizona, which we talked bad, well, not talked bad, but the governor shot down the bill. And then right away, just knee jerked a cryptocurrency reserve fund like the next day, which allows for investment into Bitcoin off of seized assets. They didn't deploy 5% of state funds yet, but they are the second state to create a crypto reserve fund. So just when we thought they were down, they came right back around. We also have, and I'm just going to keep on the Bitcoin train here. We have Fidelity doing roadshows to CEOs with a pitch deck telling them why it's such a great investment. And when you have Fidelity with 5 trillion underneath assets underneath management, going on roadshows to talk about Bitcoin, I think some people's going to listen. And not only Fidelity, we got BlackRock, one of the biggest asset management company out there. They're on Capitol Hill talking to task force, trying to get things moving along, staking, tokenization, whatnot. So there's just a lot of movement overall. And I'm going to go on, but I'm going to stop there really quickly just so that you can comment on some of the news there.
Yeah, yeah, I think it was in that tweet you shared from Tyler there about Fidelity pitching BTC to CEOs. At the end of the day, our window, everyone's window is starting to close to front run the institution. So if it's a good time to buy Bitcoin, our answer is typically always a yes. That is not financial advice because everyone's in a different position, but it is one of the best assets, in my opinion, if it's a considered a safe haven, if it's considered just an appreciating asset. And bankers are starting to get involved, institutions are around, and the window's closing very quickly.
Are we going to see an alt spillover finally, Brian, or is it just going to be, Bitcoin for the next few years as more money pours in? What do you think?
I do think so. I actually said it last week, and everyone kind of freaked out along the calls we were on at the company. I was like, "Hey, this has the making of an alt season," and they were like, "Shh, don't jinx it." But my theory behind this alt season is that we're starting to see Ethereum run and run quite hard. And typically, when Ethereum starts to run like that, we're going to start to see a rollback into alt, and alts are absolutely firing off. And surprisingly, the one that hasn't moved as violently upward is Bitcoin. So we're getting all this positive news around the tariffs. And of course, Bitcoin's up. I forget exactly what it's up over the past couple of days. I mean, it's up 42. Oh, so I'm looking at the wrong one there. Bitcoin's up about 10% on the week, but Ethereum's up 51%. And a lot of alts are up 50, 100, 200%, and meme coins even harder. So, my personal opinion, my gut feeling, nobody can predict the future. This has the making of an alt season upcoming. So, I'm going to say yes, we are going to see an alt season. We probably hit an all time high or a high for the cycle right now with Bitcoin dominance. And I have a gut feeling that we're going to see some alts run. I do think this alt season is going to be a little different than the 2021 alt season, where it just went on for an extended period of time, months and months, and it was just like pick any alt and you were up 50, 100%. I think the window is going to be a little bit shorter for this alt season, but some of our favorite alts have been absolutely crushed over the past couple months. If you held onto your bags or you're just starting to see some signs of life, this feels like a really good spot to get into some of those companies that you're really anxious to hold bags for because they're running harder than anything right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing that on my end too. We're seeing a lot of rotation plays, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on how that plays out and how long it plays out for you guys. I want to go into what we've been investing into in the next segment, but just to wrap things up on the macro, we can't talk about news without Trump news, right? So, Trump crypto advisor David Bailey, who's the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, they've been around for a long time. They merged with Kindly MD, an alternative medicinal company that promotes cannabis, I would like to say. But what's crazy about this is that this stock was practically worthless. It went up 6x upon this Bitcoin strategy news, 6x. And they raised $700 million to deploy the Bitcoin strategy that Michael Saylor has made popular. And so, Trump has been on, not, I wouldn't say the hot seat. He's been on a seat, right? On meme coins and the correlation with him as president. Should there be impact there? But this kindly news is it's pretty crazy how traditional stocks are kind of moving like meme stocks now, right, Brian?
Yeah, it's certainly crazy right now. It's just an exciting time to be in the market.
Yep, yep. And to wrap things up, Coinbase, they're finally on the news for good reasons. They've joined the S&P 500, which is big news. They're gonna have some money inflows for them, which they can deploy. Sorry, clicked the wrong tab there. Upon that news, they jumped up a whopping $50, which is about 25% within the day. That's a huge move. That's what I'm saying. Meme stocks, the traditional Web2 stocks don't move 25% in a day. That's not typical. But it's not only that news, right? You can see they've been moving up for a while now, and that's because they also partnered up with Riot Games, which is a huge gaming company, not in the Web3 world. If you don't know League of Legends, Valorant, it's let's just put it this way: video game industry is bigger than movies, music, sports combined, and League of Legends has fan bases bigger than a lot of major sports leagues. So some people might scoff at this, but they're making huge inroads. They're going to onboard a lot of people into Web3 gaming with this news. And lastly, I just want to touch upon this before I swing it over to you, Brian, is that Meta is back into the races of stablecoins. It seems like everyone and their mother is creating stablecoins. Fun fact, I was actually, I worked with Meta on their stablecoin 5 years ago, and before they pulled the rug on it. And now they're deploying it. Now they're looking to deploy it. And this could be, a huge thing because, Meta is a publicly traded company. This is the first that we've heard with actual, they have integrations on social, Instagram, WhatsApp, communication tools. So it'll be very interesting to see their move into this because what I can compare them to is like Telegram. Telegram is close to 1 billion users. They have their own blockchain. They created or they're launching stablecoins through Tron onto Telegram, and they're wildly successful. They push the NFT needle a lot. So interesting to see Meta just dipping their toes into crypto. They tried it out with Instagram a little bit in the past, but this is like a full blown, I think, integration if they really deploy this.
Yeah, it's great to see that Meta's getting back into the game, and I don't want to discount that Coinbase IPO news because that's or not IPO news, S&P 500 news.
Mm.
That's some big stuff. Not just because anybody held coin, it moved nicely for them, but the company they replaced. You know who they replaced in the S&P 500?
I did not catch up on it yet. Who is it?
They replaced Discover Financial.
Oh, it
So
was right on the bottom of that. Okay.
yeah, what makes me kind of chuckle about that, it's kind of out with the old, in with the new. They're removing a
Yeah.
traditional banking system or Discover Financial. They're removing them from the S&P 500, and Coinbase is taking their place essentially. So out with the old, in with the new. Welcome to the S&P 500, Coinbase. I think this is just going to be the beginning of some of these cryptocurrency
Right.
companies getting into the stock game and obviously into the S&P 500.
Great point. Kind of how like MicroStrategy went into the Nasdaq. Are we gonna see, uh, the decoupling? I'm not decoupling, a de-ranking of all these old traditional companies and all the crypto companies move up and start taking these ranks. That's gonna be super exciting. So that could be another horse to bet on in this new cycle. From Web3 investing, we're now talking about Web2 investing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're definitely they're going to definitely start blending more and more. The words Web 2, Web 3 are going to definitely
Yeah.
be much more integrated. So it's awesome. But when we're talking about Web 3, we got to talk about memes, right? I
Oh,
mean, they've been absolutely fire recently. I'm going to show a screen share here of the current top meme coins, and you can see Dogecoin up 40% on the
whew.
week, Sheeb 30, Pepe up 90%, Bonk 40%, Farcoin 30, Dog with Hat up
I
100%.
know.
Yeah, a lot of these SPX 6900, I just saw it, but now I lost it. Up
Yep.
70%. Mogcoin up
Whew.
100%. Peanut up almost 200%. The way I look at this, Joe, is it's there's a clear move here that it seems like any meme coins from the class of 2024, especially Ethereum based, have really moved, and they're all. I mean, look at this. There isn't a speck of red on the charts, but some of these OG 2024 meme coins, the Mogs, the Peanuts, some of these coins that we really wrote off for dead are starting to rip again. And a lot of those are Maraud's coins. You know how we talked about Maraud meme coins, the
Yep.
Maraud list? So maybe Maraud was right. This is a super cycle, and we should have never given up on any of our bags. I know we haven't, but it's great to see. What are your thoughts about what we're looking at the current meme coin market?
I think it is great signs for meme coin market number one. And I just have to showcase this for my thoughts. It's just massive FOMO, number one, because people are feeling it. Like Mudeng, this is my first favorite meme coin. That's why I had to show it. Up 800% in like a week, which I thought was dead for sure. But if they ever reach its back its all-time high, it'll be a 1700% gain. And it looked like they're gonna do it. Like, so that's my feeling is that, like you said, the class of 2024 memes that most were thought for dead, they're seeing heavy rotation back into it. And then my other thought on this is that during the dark, I wouldn't say dark period, but the Q1 was pretty ugly for meme coins, right? In 2025. And we thought, or I placed some small bets on other blockchains. People are trying to steal the thunder. They had some action there on Binance for a little bit. Basecoin tried with the content coin. So the major lesson here is yes, old school Ethereum and Solana based memes are like, we're taking back our crown. Ethereum probably more than Solana here, but Solana definitely had some action. So that's my first takeaway there. And just the community for sure. Is either communities or holders that have just been on the sideline waiting to get back in on some of these before where we thought they were dead. And it's like the same story over from the previous meme coin cycle, if that's even considered a cycle, is that we knew these coins had strong communities, and it just shows. And people think we're crazy, but we talked about it last week, like Floki doing AI integrations, robotics, right? And Mogs doing stuff. these some of these meme coins are actually doing things, and some people just like to hold, right? But that's my takeaway is that if you have a strong sentiment for meme coins and a belief, and you just only need one, then if it's a down cycle, it doesn't matter. And that's what it was for a lot of these holders. Like XPX 6900, we knew they weren't going away. I mean, come on, right? Like the holder base is so strong, we knew they're going to come back. And if people bought the bottom, they would have been extremely happy.
Yeah, and there's only a few Ethereum meme coins that I personally feel comfortable holding because of how strong the communities are. You hit one SPX 6900, MOG, Pepe. You can just see when Ethereum runs as hard as it has, it's been outperforming Bitcoin and a lot of the others. And we're talking about alt season. I mean, Pepe is over a $6 billion market cap. I think the last time we talked about it was a $3 billion market cap. So some big moves there. And the reason why I think some of these Ethereum coins have been moving so violently is obviously there's more interest and confidence in Ethereum right now with it running. So
Right.
when it is, some of these Ethereum based meme coins are going to run hard. I think I even mentioned it was on this show or maybe the Crypto 101 show that I always feel more comfortable. I did at one point, maybe not so much, holding some of these Ethereum based
Meme.
meme coins instead of Ethereum because I thought they were going to run. If Ethereum ran, these meme coins were going to run, and they're not hard to pick out. There's less than five, if I would really count them out, of these Ethereum based meme coins that I think would run really hard. Because why? The communities are strong. They've been absolutely beaten down. If they didn't sell in this last bear market, why would they sell now? And the strength of the actual projects are growing every single day. So I'm bullish on us, and it's not as cluttered on the Ethereum side of things. Solana has a lot more cluttered meme coins. Now, those have been running nicely as well. And we talk about Farcoin all the time on this show.
Hmm.
Leading indicator. It was actually dipping a little bit during our last rundown, and I was like, what's going to happen? But it bounced off and is showing, I think, a $1.4 billion market cap. What was really surprising to me is Dog with Hat, which looked absolutely dead. One of my favorite meme coins for a
Right.
very long time, almost flipped Farcoin
Ooh.
at right around 1.2, 1.3 billion. They were running neck and neck. Of course, Farcoin got a little bit ahead of it, but they're kind of right behind each other for some of the top Solana meme coins. What's your vibe at the end of in Bonk, of course, at like a $1.8 billion meme coin price? What's your vibe with these Solana meme coins? What's the future going to show us?
Future. Well, so the price prediction for Solana, some say if they pass this 160 like big resistance point, that it could fly to $500. So if it moves like kind of like Ethereum had kind of like a release valve, right? Like everyone thought Ethereum was dead, but after the upgrade, the Petra upgrade, it took like a few days afterwards, and then it flew like 50%, and that's what caused a lot of memes to run when liquidity flows and that L1 into the meme coins. So of course, when Solana runs, these Solana ones will move really, really high. Also, I feel so. Ethereum kind of claimed the spotlight, but then Solana is definitely, like, we saw the Moodang, and that's just one of them. It's definitely going to follow. So that's my thoughts. Is when Solana, the token itself moves, then we're going to see a lot of movement there. So we saw like the initial tariff, and then Ethereum kind of spill over, and that kind of gave life to the Solana meme coins, right? And then we want Solana, if Solana moves, which we believe it will, because they're deploying a lot of the Bitcoin strategy also, right? We're talking about billions of dollars now with the Solana strategy being deployed that, can see, some effects there. So I'm bullish overall on my bags and my holdings for Solana. And I'm only like, I think you and I've been in these trenches, you more than me these last few days. That money's starting to flow in. My friends are text screenshots. When people send screenshots, that's like a clear indicator of either sell or the market may be back. So I have friends screenshotting their liquidity pools, their meme coins these days. And I'm like, okay. And that's giving personally me confidence to get back in, right? Like when you show me and then my other friend shows me gains, I'm like, all right, the streets are back. I'm dipping my toe back in, or I'm just jumping, diving headfirst.
Yeah, there's some huge opportunities out there, and I agree with you with your talking points along when we see a Solana run very similar to what Ethereum has done. There's going to be even more liquidity added to these meme coins, but that's not to say there haven't been some outstanding runners
Right.
recently, and I have to call this coin out
Woo.
because I've really gone down a rabbit hole with it. Launch coin, it's all over the timeline. It pretty much came out of nowhere. Trending number two on Dex Screener. Absolutely ripping right now, closing in on a $200 million market cap. I think yesterday this was a $20 million market cap. And that was one of the top performers there. So anybody that's paying attention to these coins right now can do very, very well. We're going to share some deep insight with our private community this week on this ecosystem and why it's running so hard. But I'm going to give you a little snapshot. There's a good thread here by this end game on what's going on with this launch coin and essentially what's called Believe app. He wrote it up. What is Believe? It's a SoFi platform that lets people launch their own tokens based on social clout. You create your own coin that's tied to your Twitter identity. This reminds me of a lot of those friend tech days, Joe, when social influencers would create rooms, share alpha, and have a coin, but you had to sign up for a friend tech, and it was a little clunky. But now all you need to do is basically mention it in the tweet with Launchcoin, and if it gets to above your bonding curve, I believe, which is $100,000, it goes live. And there's been some serious runners, and this isn't just like pure meme coins that are running. Some of these are absolute legit tokens and legit companies that are running. A few off the top of my head was Noodle, and that's like the snake game. I don't know if you remember
Hmm.
you're a kid when you
Yep.
try to eat the other snake, but if you eat someone else's snake, you actually get their real money. But it's a real project, a real game. There's another one that I've been following. I shared with you recently. I can't
Bitcoin. Yeah.
remember. Yeah, Fitcoin, and that's a very interesting project. But they're really crowdsourcing or crowdfunding through this Launchcoin app. And this coin was actually rebranded. Whenever I was searching for it last night, I kept going like, why is Pasternak? That's the individual. He made a coin. Why is his coin showing up when I put the contract address of Launchcoin in? Well, he was behind it. This is a rebrand, and it's exciting. The streets are definitely hot right now. A lot of opportunity out there. I'll tell you what. I was saying it before the show. This is the time to be paying attention. Anybody that's not paying attention right now is missing out on huge gains.
Yeah, thank you for bringing those to my attention. I saw that circling on different networks also, but when you dove in and gave specific, like multiple calls on it, I'm like, all right, we have something here. And that's another metric of the streets being back is when, there's quicker plays to be had. And I'm excited for the weeks to come because that just means more for our community.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where this launch coin goes, Joe. It's a very unique launch pads are kind of like what's happening. We've been talking
Right.
about Boop, and they released some tokenomics this past week, which caused their price to fall. They changed their tokenomics, I should say. Pump.Fund made a pretty interesting announcement that 50% of the revenue is going to creators. So rewarding creators of the coins is the name of the game. But Launchcoin has a very similar theme to that, but a lot of these companies are funding their projects through launching these coins and through the leverage they have through social applications. And I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid that this could be the new meta. This could be the next AI crypto meta. This is whenever we were watching AI 16 uh, Z go up to 50, 100, 200 million. And we're like, can this really go much higher? And it
Mm.
ran to billions. I think if the attention stays here, it's big if, but it looks like people are really enjoying it. Some of these Launchpad could definitely go super high. Not only that, Launchcoin at $200 million right now. I mean, you want to say there's going to be a correction, but this is straight up. I mean, literally, as we're talking right now,
Right.
it's over 200 million. So it's launching, Launchcoin's launching coins. It's very easy to use, and people love it. They like this new meta. So it's certainly something we're going to talk a little bit deeper with our private community, but huge, huge opportunities right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely monster gain. 39,000% from its rebrand. So rebranding works. They took a page out of Kindly.md's book and shot straight up. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, and you just need a good product. You need a good product that makes a lot of sense, and people are going to buy it. So I'm gonna go even deeper tonight, tomorrow, this week into this sector. I hope it doesn't die off. It doesn't feel like it though to me, because even some of the old sectors, such as AI crypto, which I absolutely love, is increasing up 7% on 24 hours, closing in on a $12 billion market cap. Some of our favorites, Farcoins, AI16Z, RecGuy, Toshi, Virtuals, all of these are up in mind share and market cap. So the AI crypto sector is thriving. Really, all these alternative assets are thriving right now, and it's great to see. And it's just, I don't know, it's way more fun. Look, I just clicked on the market cap button. Look at this, it's all green. Virtuals, FET, Farcoin, AI16Z, Goat. Goat is up over $200
Wow.
million market cap. All of these have been past in-depth calls within our private communities. Some at higher points in the market that did go higher, but then since corrected, but several of these are bouncing back, and that's what we've been preaching, is that when we see strength in the overall macro market, a lot of these are going to bounce back. And now there's a new meta. There's a new meta out there with Launchpad or Launchcoin, and I really believe it could do some big things. I know you're not as deep into that coin right now in the platform, but do you have any just initial thoughts when you've read about it?
Yeah, it's intriguing as a platform play, comparing it to virtuals, maybe like exactly in terms of the run up, right? When we talked about virtuals, it was what, 300 million and ran to like $2, $3 billion. And it was a platform play where you can launch AI agents. And I see this similar, right? Launch coin. Could it be one that sticks better because it's simpler, it's easier, it's less confusing, which I'm seeing initially just from looking at their site, their page, their docs, and for people to really do something either of note or a meme. But to your point, what you said was companies launching like Noodles, actual applications that can launch from this single tweet launch is very interesting. It's very different, right? So it's refreshing. Like Boop is more, trench warriors, like we mentioned. If you're a creator, you're going to make a ton of money. This has aspects of all those. Uh, we'll see who copies this playbook as a beta, but this is a good alpha for now.
Kind of reminds me of that flash in the pan DeSci time we had, where some of these uh, real companies were using their social clout or their project clout, I should say, leveraging crypto to get crowdfunding for science research, which I still think has a very good story to tell. I haven't been following those as closely because that meta sort of died off. And there's going to be a ton of crap that launches on Launchcoin too. So don't just go fire into any new launch because there's going to be a ton of crap. Because I could launch one right now, and if I get past the bonding curve, I may have nothing. And there's going to be a ton of ruggers out there. But if you do your due diligence, if you follow Joe and I, who are definitely trying to peel through the weeds and find the best possible opportunities, some of these coins are going to run. And I'm excited. I really do believe might be a new meta that we're stumbling upon.
Well, the money's behind it, so it's definitely, it's something behind it for sure.
Yeah, and it's not just meme coins, not just the AI crypto sector that's been really running. There's been some great news in the world of NFTs. We love NFTs. And really, as of today, there was huge news with Yuga Labs and CryptoPunks actually broke away and they have been acquired by the Node
Woo,
Foundation. Huge news, if you ask me.
huge.
Anybody that knows CryptoPunks, they launched in 2017. They're the OG blue chip NFT project. People drool over to own one of these 10,000 unique NFTs that tell an unbelievable story, and they have their own just. You're not getting a ton of airdrops with Hold'em CryptoPunks. You're not getting access to special concerts essentially with CryptoPunks. You're buying it because of the provenance of it, because of the history behind it, because of the collectors that own it, and it's been tested over time. And I believe I put a note somewhere, I don't know where it is, but on May 7th, one CryptoPunk, the floor was
Yep.
$77,000. As of today, the floor is 150K.
Yeah, go back to our old video. We talked about you, Brian, buying one on live video after I bought a Pudgy Penguin on live video. That's how I remember the price so vividly. And yeah, it's funny because I was on that video saying these could be the safer plays. The better play was buying the Pengu token. CryptoPunks doesn't have a CryptoPunks token yet. That could be an idea. I mean, that might not be good for the brand, But that's why I said these are safer plays because they have a strong holder base that's longer than meme coins. People's been buying these for close to 10 years now. They've done what 3 billion in lifetime sales. They says they're the best selling art of all time. Is that right, Brian? That's crazy. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, that's just like a pass by note. You're like, okay, is that, but that's meaningful because it's actual money volume being exchanged, right? Which is what some artists like and love, and it's going back into the hands of the original artists. Like they're on the board. I mean, they're going to do a roadshow of punks. I mean, this is great for the punks IP. Amazing move. I think it's so cheap in my opinion right now, based on just those two metrics alone.
Yeah, I agree. I do think they're still cheap and still always something I'm interested in getting into. One thing that I love about this acquisition, and the market obviously loved it as well, and you hit the nail on the head, Joe, when you talked about the original thesis behind CryptoPunks is staying intact. And I want to I don't know for sure, but I think I'm getting a little tip of the cap to Yuga because I'm pretty sure they probably had some bigger offers than what they were offered by Node. I think they had bigger offers, but they probably sold it to the right buyer. They didn't want to be the company that, ruined punks by giving them to Disney and Disney exploiting them.
Oh my
The,
gosh.
the true thesis behind CryptoPunks is the decentralized nature, kind of how CryptoPunks wanted to remain intact, how the original Matt and John, the artists, intended, while they continue to defy this collection through the test of time, just through the artwork, through the unique algorithmic utility behind it. So it's just, I think Yuga Labs really did the CryptoPunks community a solid here by getting it into the right hands. And it sounds like Node's just pretty much not going to do anything, and that speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I like that. Yeah, they're not going to do anything, and also, I think I knew this in the past, but they're fully on chain, so they're not like going to go offline. To your point, I just want to make a note because Nike bought Artifact and like it's horrible. Like if Disney bought Punks, it would have been horrible. And then Artifact, which was a real hyped NFT project at a time, it went offline. The images went offline, and everyone was like going crazy because even though a big company acquired it and just sunsetted it, people still liked the artwork, right? And that's what we didn't want to see. And we're not going to see that with Punks. It's in good hands. It's on chain. It's never going to go away.
Yeah, you nailed it. And that's not to say that NFTs partnering with major Web2 brands like Disney aren't going to thrive. I believe that. But it has to be the right projects. And CryptoPunks, that's not the right project. CryptoPunks, there's a provenance there. They tell a story. Their cyberpunk vibe to it, the decentralization. They speak volumes about the entire crypto community. That's why we don't want anybody to touch it. That's why we want to keep it intact.
Yep.
And basically, if you want it to thrive, just don't do anything with it, and they're going to thrive. Now, on the other hand, a Pudgy Penguin, a partnership with Disney would probably be a very good move, in my opinion, if that would ever come to fruition for their NFT project, because
Right.
they're trying to bring in that type of buyer, that type of utilize their IP in that way. They're trying to tell a different story than the CryptoPunks. So like Cool Cats or Pudgy Penguins or something. I think they're just trying to tell a different story. So there's room for all of these projects to thrive. But this is just super bullish, in my opinion, that Node acquired CryptoPunks and NFTs feel back. It's not just CryptoPunks that are running. There's been a lot of opportunities people have been paying attention. And is this going to kick off NFT season? What are your thoughts there?
Right. Once, yeah, a rotation from Ethereum profits really come into NFTs, then yeah, potentially for sure. We haven't seen a really big rotation from meme coins from the last year, 2024, into NFTs. A lot of the meme coins made NFTs and did really well, and vice versa. And I would like to see a better integration, which we're seeing now. Like we're seeing, congrats on the Doodles airdrop. You made some money. I got some free money from Doodles. I don't own a Doodles. I got like $10. I'm like, yay. But they're integrating the meme coin well within their NFT ecosystem, was what I'm saying. Same thing on Pudgies. So we just need to see those types of benefits flush out. I think there will be, a big light on it once we see those integrations come through because they're kind of like they're working its way through a system right now. So I'm excited for that kind of evolution in NFTs. I wanted art definitely came back. You hit it with Alpha Centauri Kid. So NFTs are coming to come back in different waves, maybe in the form of RWAs and collectibles. I saw it pop up. We talked about it last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? My top shots are popping off. My Caitlyn Jenner WNBA went 3-4x. I was like, this is great. So there was definitely a good time to buy because everything was on sale, and I picked up a few key pieces also on different NFT platforms. So I definitely feel that it has life in the streets because of all the regulation coming on. We're seeing, Fidelity talk to CEOs. We're just waiting for that to happen for NFTs for regular companies. Yesterday, I went to a Warriors game and I was at a restaurant, and this is not a paid endorsement, but I used Blackbird at the restaurant. It was at the Warriors Chase Center, which is a huge, obviously, location, very popular. And I tapped my phone on it, and it gave me a free NFT to prove that I was at the restaurant. It gave me I used their native cryptocurrency called the Fly token to pay for part of my meal, and I also got free Fly token for eating there. So what I'm saying is that there's one integration so far in the Bay Area, and Bay Area is like the tech city of the world. It's coming, but it's slow. Like I thought NFTs was going to take over the world by the 2022, 2023. Remember, Brian? We're like, oh, NFTs going to take over the planet like in 2 years. It's taken a lot longer than that. But I believe there's going to be some big NFT moves, and just like getting into like Doge early, if you get into some of these early, I think down the road they're gonna be like mega. Like you're gonna be like, oh my God, why didn't I get this like in 2025? So definitely we're there. We're early, which is sounds crazy still.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was going to make. We're so early, and it doesn't feel that way because whenever the market gets absolutely crushed and we're like, what happened? But then we bounce back hard and harder than ever. We're like, oh, we're all rich again. This is a grind at the end of the day, even though some of these could be very volatile. The technology of NFTs are only going to improve. The way they just connect us to the Web 2 world is going to improve. I mean, we have so many bullish things happening. We got like Larry Fink and the SEC meeting. I think ETH staking approval is going to be around the corner soon. It's just the entire market. If you love NFTs, if you love meme coins, if you just want to park your asset or your money into Bitcoin, I think any of those are really good opportunities right now because when the market starts to move, it moves so hard and so fast.
Yeah, it does. And the last point I would like to make on NFTs is something you noted on agenda. Maybe you should bring it up because I love the evolution of Rec Guy's NFTs. Like, and that's what happened to Pudgy Penguins. They were NFT, then they launched a meme coin. Now they launched a blockchain, and now they have products. Rec Guy NFT project launched a meme coin, launched an AI agent. Like, I'm excited for those brands, and that's what I think a Rec Guy down the road would be like a lot more money than it is. I mean, I want a Rec Guy right now. Let me go on there and see how much it is because I'm talking myself into buying one.
Speaking of Rec Guy, I got my
Oh, that was
I got
quick.
yeah, I actually got it on Saturday. I haven't opened it yet. Abstract apple and raspberry,
Woo.
flavored sparkling water. No caffeine, no alcohol. Simple, easy. I haven't tasted it yet, but I've only heard good things. So I'm gonna crack one open later today. But excited to have it. I mean, this just goes to show you, Ovi is doing great stuff over there at Rect. I love the Rec Guy NFTs. I think it's a great way. I mean, if you own the Rec Guy NFT and you were there for the snapshot, you actually have equity in this brand right
Hmm.
now. And this is just going to continue to develop. And I think this is the tip of the iceberg. It's just super exciting. And they sold out of these drinks, right? I'm trying to look. They sold out of these drinks in just
Yeah.
like 20 minutes or something. And Ovi's been talking about how he wants to sell 1 million of these cans, and he's going to do it. I'm starting to
Yeah.
believe he's going to do it. This is just us dorks in Web 3 that just love the project. But people are really starting to rave this. I'm starting to see rave about. People are starting to break out from people that have never even heard of Rec Guy, and they're talking about this Rec drink all of a sudden. So it's a very unique setup, and he built it the right way. When that coin, we made calls when it was under $10 million. We made a call for their NFT project over a year ago, and basically it's like this is the long run, this is the long haul, and it's really starting to pay off for a lot of people that followed those calls or just believed in the brand. because it's a founder that actually cares. It's like a guy like Luca Netz with Pudgy Penguins, who actually cares, is going to provide value to their holders. They're not trying to extract value from their holders. So hats off to the entire rec team. I'm a huge fan. Full disclosure, I own quite a bit of their assets as well. So don't want that to like muddy the water, but I do, and it's not because really I thought the price is going to go up. It's really because I just love what they were building, and I saw the thesis for it to continue to grow.
Yeah, I'm excited for their evolution and the evolution of traditional companies coming to NFTs that will create something of value. So I'm excited for all of that. I'm excited for the Fear and Greed Index being at 71%, 71 versus a 14 is better times.
Yeah, and here's a good one to talk about here. Everybody, well, if you're in NFTs or even meme coins, you probably know who Frank is, or Frank de Gods. He goes by. Not gonna, his name's out there, but I'm not gonna dox him. He took some heat. He took
Mhm.
some major heat for some meme coin trading. Seems like a good guy, but took some heat. And he was the CEO of D Gods in Utes, a very popular NFT project. In all honesty, I think some of the best looking NFTs around. I've always been a big fan, but yesterday he says today's his last day as the CEO of D Gods. His chapter's closing, but he's handing it off to two very capable people. What are your thoughts about Frank leaving D Gods and Utes?
I thought he left a long time ago, but yeah, so I must have missed when he really left because he said he left a while back and people were like, "Well, why don't you change your profile picture?" But this is an official statement saying he's leaving. I personally love D Gods because they really brought a ton of attention into the Solana NFT world. Before I was a Solana junkie, now I love Solanas. Do I love Solanas in terms of NFTs? No, I just like the meme coin world better there, and I don't think NFTs is like the play for Solana blockchain per se. But every blockchain has its you know uh things that is good for. But DeGods, I'm just curious how they're going to move forward. Just as an ecosystem overall, Solana NFTs have not come back as strongly as art or like some of the Ethereum ones that we mentioned. Even Ordinals and Bitcoins come back a little bit now. So yeah, I'm curious to see what Solana NFT ecosystem would do.
Yeah, and they're also on Ethereum as well. I think they
Are
trade
they
around
okay?
yeah, they trade around a half an ETH, so you can bridge back and forth between the two. I'm actually pretty bullish. I'm gonna have to really sit down and read through who the new CEO is, what his
Hmm.
plan is, because this they have a really interesting community where they could build a similar brand as Pudgy Penguins and Rec Guy, in my opinion. Because they have a community that absolutely loves them.
Right.
They've been tested through time. They have some very unique ways they've pushed the boundaries. And Frank stepping down, I think, is a great move. There's been a lot of controversy going on around. I don't think that's the reason he should have stepped down, but he obviously was, in a lot of different areas. He's made probably a fortune, and it's probably time for him to hand it off to somebody who really wants to run with the project. So it could be a good opportunity. That's not a call out to buy because I'm not exactly sure what the plans are, but it's going to be a project that I'm going to be looking to buy on the low.
That's a good point because they have that community. It's like the lowest that I've ever seen. Like they were holding 300 soul for like years, and now it's at like seven. So interesting that yeah, let's see what the new CEO is gonna do. If you're gonna fire some stuff in the meme coin, this is something tried and true. They already have a token out, I believe, right? But that was in their
Yeah.
secondary collection. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it for everybody.
Yeah, the token's dust, but you can still, revive that by, Rep Guy's token looked dust too months ago, but then they came out with some really good use cases, and now it's like a $60 million market cap or something. So they definitely have a plan, I think. So I'm excited, and just kind of looking at the board, they've been hit the hardest out of most NFTs with this news. So the new, not nothing crazy, down 5-7%, but it's something I'm going to definitely be evaluating because at the end of the day, the root of it, I really do like their art. It's a little bit more unique than a lot of NFTs out there. I think it could tell a good story, has really cool traits. The community's great.
Yeah, that's the main thing is the community. Yeah, if someone could pull a pudgy penguin and either acquire it or the new CEO is just amazing, then I could definitely see some movement here. But yeah, NFTs moving, markets moving, everything's moving. The only question is what's gonna happen next week because something always or a lot of things always happen from one rundown to the next. And I'm excited for what that's gonna look like. Any price predictions to wrap things up? Bitcoin, Ethereum, where are we seeing it going, Ryan?
Price predictions. Ooh, then you kind of put me on the spot. We didn't talk about that at all. No, I think we continue to grind up. I do think we start to find an all-time high. I think we need to get Bitcoin over 110K. Once we get to 110K, I think we're off to the races. Um, it's it's interesting to see Bitcoin dominance kind of go down and a lot of these altcoins start to pop off of meme coins. I think that's going to run like that for a little while. But Bitcoin, once we get to 110,000, I think that kicks off this next leg of the bull market and it's going to melt our faces like we've never even seen.
All right, you heard it here. I'm ready for the face melting. I'm gonna deploy more. Not financial advice. But yeah, join us. We'd love to see you guys. We talk on a daily with our community about what we're buying, selling, and we have podcasts. We got market updates for you guys. But definitely catch us next week as there's gonna be some mega news, I'm sure. We'll see you guys next week.